right, so we'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask Commissioner Shermack to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't want to keep people waiting. The record will reflect that the district attorney is present and is on a speaker phone here. And I'm told that Commissioner Terriani will not be available. Commissioner Dominic, I'm told, has missed the commissioners' meeting today
Yes, she
due to
did.
COVID.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and so we don't expect her. I do expect the sheriff.
He just pulled up, Judge.
You just pulled up? Okay, all right. So we can get started. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review the minutes from our November meeting. And if so, I'll entertain a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second.
Okay. On the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, so the November meeting minutes are approved. The record will reflect that Sheriff McAndrew is here and present, and will probably have words for me, because we were supposed to ride out together earlier today, but that's another story, and we don't have that kind of time to talk about that. So we'll move to the next item, and it's the opportunity for anybody on the public to address the board on agenda items, on any of the items listed on the agenda. Okay, and I see no one stepping forward. Jason, do those lights go on back there? We don't like to keep our audience in the dark, literally. So next thank you. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve all the current payables for the Community Corrections Center and the prison. Like the minutes, they were circulated in advance of the meeting. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review them. And if so, I'll entertain a motion to approve the current payables.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Cermak. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the sheriff. On the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The current payables are approved. Next, we'll move to the Controller's report. Mr. DeVillio.
Yes, Judge, thank you. Controller's report of the prison inmate and canteen accounts for November 2023. The Controller's office reviewed the prison inmate and canteen account reconciliations, which were prepared by the prison business office for the month of November 2023, and found no discrepancies between the reconciliations and the bank statements. The balance in the inmate account was $442,147.91 as of November 30th, 2023. The balance in the canteen checking account was $360,555.50 as of November 30th. And in addition, as of November 30th, the canteen account also included a balance in the Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust investment account of $875,578.73, which earns approximately $4,099 per month, and which will mature in January of 2024. During the month of November 2023, $94,120.96 was paid from the canteen account for the benefit, welfare, and education of the Lackawanna County inmates. And an itemized detail of those expenses are attached to my report. And that concludes my report.
And we have a signed agreement on the audits?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we do. And they haven't started yet,
Okay.
but Kohansky and Company should be.
Aaron, they have.
They have started. Kohansky and Company has started the audit
Okay.
on the inmate accounts and canteen accounts.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for the controller? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report.
So moved. Second.
And a second on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next, we'll go to the Community Corrections Center report. Mr. McConaughey.
Good afternoon,
Good
everyone.
afternoon.
This is the house arrest report for the month of November. Adult house arrest had 189 participants, juvenile had 20. Programs revenues, house arrest had $61,039.47, and juvenile had $4,490 for a total of $65,529.47. Year-to-date totals for both departments is $681,765.62. Programs revenues were $74,719.27. Programs completions were 54, violations were 12. We still have 5 outstanding warrants in house arrest. The budget report overall, overtime's at 106%, expenses at 93%, and revenues at 101%. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. McConaughey? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the report for the Community Corrections Center.
So moved.
Do I have a second
Second.
on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, Norm.
Everybody have a happy holiday. and
Happy
safe
holidays to
holidays.
you too. Thank you. Next, we'll have the warden's report. You may notice that the warden is not here. The warden is out on medical leave. So the report will be delivered by Deputy Warden Colleen Orzel.
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
The in-house population for November was 749 inmates. 577 were county inmates. We averaged 638 males, 8 juvenile males, and 111 adult females. The average daily population of the U.S. Marshals detainees was 172. Out of county and overtime reports are attached. Currently, our staffing update is we have 170 officers on shift. We have 6 on workers' comp, 1 on continuous FMLA, 77 on intermittent FMLA. We have 0 on administrative leave, and we have 5 full-time vacancies. The budget as of November 30th, 2023, I have listed on the initial report that revenue was at 84% and expenses were at 87%. It's actually, revenue is at 93% and expenses were at 92%. There were 4 extraordinary occurrences for the month of November. On November 11th, an inmate was placed in the restraint chair to eliminate the risk of self-injury. The individual was banging her head off of the cell door repeatedly and would not stop. The nurse was on site for assessment. Another incident on November 11th, upon booking and being changed over from the arresting authority, the inmate was non-compliant and combative toward staff and medical personnel. The restraint chair was utilized to assist in calming the individual and to eliminate the risk of injury to himself and others. On November 13th, this was a second incident identical from November 11th. The same individual was placed in the restraint chair to eliminate the risk of self-injury. The individual was banging their head off the cell door repeatedly and would not stop. Again, the nurse was on site for assessment. On November 15th, while a correctional officer was completing his rounds, an inmate confronted him on 2 separate occasions, both times becoming increasingly aggressive and angry. After multiple attempts of verbal redirection and attempts to gain compliance, the individual resisted and became combative with staff. All incidents where the ERC was used, medical personnel was present and crisis intervention skills were utilized. For PREA, there was only 1 PREA investigation completed, and it was an inmate-on-inmate sexual harassment case that was found unfounded. Yet it was still overturned to the DA's office for investigation if found appropriate. Personnel-related issues, the deputy warden, myself, and the other 2 deputy wardens, along with the captain, we conducted interviews. We have 5 full-time correctional officer openings. A 6th became open when we had a staff retirement in the beginning of December. So overall, we have 6 total openings. So the three of us, along with the captain, completed a total of 17 interviews for the 6 openings. So we have 6 recommendations for full-time corrections officers, along with a recommendation for the second part-time receptionist position opening.
So we'll address those in
Yeah.
an executive session.
Right. The one retirement that we had in the beginning of the month was Rod Osterstrom. I just want to make a special note about him. He retired after over 37 years of service, and he was a great officer, and he's going to be truly missed. He dedicated a lot of his life and time here, so just kind of wanted to wish him well in his retirement with everybody present. And I want to also note that accommodations were made to allow several inmates to observe and celebrate Hanukkah. So just wanted to point that out as well. But that concludes my report.
Any questions for Deputy Warden Orzel? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve her report.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The report is approved. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Next item on the agenda is new business. Any new business from anybody on the board?
The only new business, Judge, I'm aware of is the fact that Deputy Warden Orzel had brought up a topic between our last meeting and today regarding paying for inmates who are released from the Lackawanna County Prison and potentially paying them to get to their destination, wherever that may be. You know, should we be paying for their transportation to get them where they're going? And I think we decided to discuss it publicly.
I think it's an excellent idea. I think we'd have, our solicitor look into just the nuts and bolts of it. I think if we could come up with some type of agreements with Marts or Trailways or even a local cab
Get some
company,
vouchers at a rate or something like that.
we could arrange for vouchers to be given, and I think that's the right thing to do, and we can, certainly for their benefits, even though they're technically not inmates anymore because they've been released,
Right.
but certainly I think that would be an appropriate,
And it would be canteen funds that we're discussing,
yeah.
which are to
Oh,
be
yeah.
used for the benefit
Oh,
of
absolutely.
the inmate.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Does seem appropriate.
yeah. Okay, so David, you can coordinate with
Contact.
the management team.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Okay, anybody from the public wish to address the board?
How you doing? My name's Kevin Herrick. I come into the county jail once a week and I do the big book meetings. We're actually in here twice a week. I have one guy coming in for me on Sundays. I just want to say that I feel the program's going excellent. I really do. And the past couple of weeks I've been noticing it even more that I really feel these guys are starting to get a little bit out of this. And, shortly after the new year, I think we were talking about, with Jason, talking about expanding it to another unit and me coming in another night, which I'm all for. At first I wasn't for it, but you know what? I'm not a judge of anybody, and I definitely as a person don't look down on anybody. So I'm going to try to to take that other night on, and I'm also going to talk to Jason about maybe starting a speaker night here. Have speakers come in from the street and tell their experience and stuff. But as far as, the staff and everything, man, you can't get any better than coming into the Lackawanna County Jail because I tell you what, you're treated with a lot of respect, and as a volunteer, I'm proud to say that things are going great. And that's really all I have. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kevin, thank you, and we appreciate the feedback. Because you're the one that's coming in and your team are coming in, so.
With all due respect, I try to make this every month, but you know what? If I don't have Chris the baby walk me through it and tell me that the meeting's going to be here, because I'm sorry, but I'm busy. And, but I do want to get here to find out what's going on. If there's
Yeah.
anything I could do to improve what we got going on, I would gladly, I'm all ears, so. We did go out and we did get, new big books and stuff like that, with funds from a meeting that we had in,
Good,
over in Greenridge, so.
okay,
Jason offered to get books, and he did get books, but they're, not the ones that we like to use, so.
okay, all right.
But I really can't say a bad thing about anything going on. I mean, it's a good show.
Well, we appreciate your words, but more importantly, we appreciate your actions in coming in and working
Thank
with
you.
the population, so thank you for that.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
Merry Christmas. Anybody else from the public wish to address the board? Bev?
I'm here to talk about the last meeting we had. The warden didn't have the details, but he said 3 people were denied their absentee ballot to vote from the jail. So I went down to the Bureau of Elections to see who was, because I had submitted a list of everybody that I thought was eligible. And there was one that was deemed to be a felon, but she no longer was. She had served her complete sentence in Muncie. She is, however, back in our prison because of a misdemeanor. She was eligible to vote, but she was denied that. The 2 other ones were from, which I think could have been corrected by the Bureau of Election. Excuse me. They had previously always voted. One was a male, one female. And so when we came around here, turned out in the meantime they had changed addresses. Both of them happened to do that. So they signed for their precinct in where they live right before they came into jail instead of the previous address. So the Bureau said they threw that out because there were 2, because when they went to register, to put the ballot in, it was they had already had a different address. Obviously, they couldn't go and vote in both places, but I wish that, and I know in another case previously there was a discrepancy, and the Bureau did mail back to that person and said what the incomplete application was, and so we got that fixed, and that went through. That was in the primary, I think. But this time in the general election, we had those 3 problems, and I think they were all avoidable.
The first instance you talked about was a woman, you said she was no longer a felon.
Correct.
What do you mean by that?
Well, in Pennsylvania, once you have served your felon sentence, you are free to vote.
It's possible that the misdemeanor charge resulted in a violation of an ongoing parole. There may have been a detainer that would make her also incarcerated as a felon at that time, which
Well-
would make her ineligible.
That would have been exactly the case, because I did all the backgrounds for the people that were on the list. I ran the convictions for the current incarceration, and there were a few people that was back in
So
prison.
if they were state paroled on a felony and got a new misdemeanor charge, there would probably be a detainer which would trigger incarceration based on the prior felony, which would rule them out again.
They had a prison sentence and a street sentence, basically, so they were on a parole sentence for the felony.
If you're on parole.
How I got my information was I called the Pennsylvania Prison Society. They have access to everybody's record, and they are the ones who verified or told me that she had completed her felon sentence.
But the incarceration portion of the sentence, if you're usually, very, very often, when someone, particularly in the case of a felony, you're sentenced to a period of incarceration, which is followed, by parole. Once you get out, you are on parole. So you may have served the incarceration portion of it. But if you violate the terms of parole, then, as David said, that triggers, potential felony violation there at that point, because now you're subject to, you get sentenced to 10 to 20 years. You serve your 10, you're out. So you're on parole for another.
She is not sentenced to, she's sentenced to 12 to 14 months or something, 12 to something months, 12 to 24 months
Okay.
on this misdemeanor that
on
she
a
has.
misdemeanor.
The-
But
Why
if she's
didn't,
on parole and commits the misdemeanor, that can trigger the violation of her felony parole, which can result in further incarceration on the felony.
why didn't the Pennsylvania Prison Society, when I specifically asked if she would have been eligible to vote, why didn't they tell me all of this?
They may not have known everything. I don't know.
I think they
I
do.
don't know. But they,
Well, anyway, that's what I found out, and that's what I'm reporting what I thought was to be the truth
okay,
of the matter.
and that's fine.
So that's those 3 votes, and I just want to be so careful with these votes. As to one other thing, change subject. Your suggestion about getting them to transportation brought to mind a case that we had. I'm a member of the Exodus Prison Ministry, and one time we bought a ticket for a woman who was getting out, and I picked her up here, took her to the bus station, and our ministry paid for the ticket for her to go to her family in North Carolina. So that would free up donated money if the prison took on that responsibility.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
what
it's
we're
right.
talking about.
But are you talking about from the commissary fund or from the prison?
The canteen account,
Which
just the
is
commissary
commissary.
account, not the inmate account, yeah. It would be money that we are spending on behalf of the inmate for their benefit, welfare, and education.
Well, that transportation would be a better use of the money instead of just investing it for more dollars. The
Yeah.
dollars should be spent to be used for their benefit.
Yes.
And I'm for a lot more spending
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
the benefit.
Doesn't
Dental
hurt to
care.
invest it in the meantime, though, because then there's more dollars to spend in the long run.
But there's so much in there. Even dental, if we just, I mean, if you look around, it's sad in there. The health, well, you know about our health system in there. And-
Any way we can help the inmate, we'll do our best.
Yeah, and good nutritious food. All this would be to the betterment, benefit
Mhm.
of those people.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
I believe it's still afternoon, right? All right. I want to just apologize for my tardiness. Didn't know that it was here this day. My name is Rick Cephas, president of the NAACP Lackawanna County branch. The last time I was before you, we had talked, there was a mention of a prison chapter that I wanted to see created here. Speaking with Pennsylvania State Conference leadership, they did advise me that it wouldn't be feasible to put a chapter in Lackawanna County Prison, being that it's mostly short term. So the executive committee would constantly be a turnover. So it would be more beneficial to places like more like the state prisons where they have more long-term sentences there. But they did advise me, though, that I could have access to certain inmates to speak with them about civil rights, social justice, and encourage membership. When they get out, encourage their families to become members of the organization as well. Wouldn't be to facilitate, addressing issues or anything else. It would just be more informational. And kind of to piggyback on what was just discussed about transportation, I just know one case in particular where it was her condition that she go to a program in order, for her to be released. Well, apparently she waited 6 months to get a program, and yet for some reason Lackawanna County refused to provide transportation. So I stepped in and I provided the transportation. So within a week, we found this young lady treatment. I got her to the treatment facility, and she is currently still doing well. I think that a lot of inmates in here that would benefit from treatment, and if there's nothing local, invest in, making sure they get down to a facility that, don't just cop out and say we can't afford it or we don't do it. I think that is something that you guys should actually really take a really serious look at, because you have a lot of people sitting in there that don't need to be in there. They need help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Okay, I see no takers, so we're going to go into executive session right now, so I would ask everybody to step out into the hallway. Okay, so we're back on the record. We were in executive session discussing personnel matters, and we've concluded our discussions, so
You have something else first, don't you?
yes. One of the things we talked about, as I mentioned at the early part of the evening meeting, was that the warden is out on medical leave. We expect him to return. He expects himself to return, but not until sometime after the first of the year. So we discussed elevating one of the deputy wardens to the position of acting warden. And it's the consensus. I think we will have a motion to elevate Deputy Warden Orzell to the position of acting warden in the absence of Warden Betty.
Well, I will make that motion. I'll second it.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. That motion is approved. And I will note for the record that it was the consensus of the other two deputy wardens that Deputy Warden Orzell would be the right choice for the position, and I appreciate that from both of you gentlemen. So congratulations. You'll be getting the calls from me along instead of this week.
No, thank you all, and
Congratulations.
I hope to serve everybody well in Warden Betty's absence. And we wish him well, too, when he's getting better. So, thank you.
Okay. You have some personnel matters? that
Yes.
you- Okay.
Yes, so, like I said earlier, the other two deputy wardens and I conducted a bunch of interviews along with our captain. And we have 6 recommendations to hire for full-time corrections officers. The first one is Stacy Bouton. Again, I'm sorry for the mispronunciation, but Stacy Bouton from Scranton.
B-O-U-T-O-N?
Bouton.
Okay.
Patrick Judge from Dunmore. Jonathan Licata from Scranton. John Damiano from Peckville. Alicia Henry from Tunkianic, and Jonathan Williams from Scranton. And then we have one recommendation for the part-time receptionist position, and that is Michaela Flynn.
Okay. So we'll
And-
do the COs first.
Yes, the COs.
That's-
And like I said, we all did the interviews, and it was pretty unanimous. We had a great group of individuals for interview. We have a few additional that we would love to keep on the list for potential openings in the future. So we'll be notifying them, whether it's by telephone or mail, just to say, as long as their continued interest remains, that we would like to keep them on the list for future openings.
And all three of the deputy wardens conducted the interviews, and there were others involved as well?
Yeah, Captain Ruddy.
Okay. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the hiring of those 6 proposed corrections officers. Stacy Boughton, Patrick Judge, Jonathan Licata, John Damiano, Alicia Henry, and Jonathan Williams.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We'll start that process. And then there's a part-time receptionist, Michaela Flynn.
Michaela Flynn.
Okay,
She's a student at Keystone College currently, and she's graduating in May.
okay.
So she did an internship here and really enjoyed it. So she's hoping to, work here part-time on the weekends, and then after graduation, maintain some longevity here in the future.
Okay, all right. Very good. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the hiring of Michaela Flynn.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, so that
All right.
proposed hire will be approved.
Thank you.
So, is there any other business from any of the other members?
The only thing I'd like to say, Judge, is we extend our well wishes to Warden Betty and hope for his fast return to work sometime in February. And we wish him and his family a Merry Christmas, as we do all of the employees, everyone here and everyone out there. Merry Christmas to everyone. Oh, and also I'd like to congratulate Officer Rodney Ostrostrom on his retirement.
I would like to acknowledge our 2 departing commissioners from this board. Grateful that one is remaining, but Commissioner Notarianni and Commissioner Dominic, and thank them for their service on this board, thank them for their service to the county. I think one of the things Commissioner Dominic brought forth to this board and this prison in connection with Warden Betty was 3 deputy wardens. And I think that it's been an invaluable addition to the administration of this prison, particularly now in the absence of the warden. And so I think she's to be congratulated, and thanks for that. And I wish them both well in the future and thank them for their time here. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We will see you next year.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Thanks, Mark.
See you, Mark.